joining today. We're really excited to be a part of this conference. I'm Nick Glass. I'm the founder and executive director of TeachingBooks, and I've got two awesome colleagues with me today. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Oh, hi, I'm Deborah Ford Salyer coming to you live from uh, snowy Columbus, Ohio. And I am so missing you today because it is not the same. It is just not the
It
same.
is not.
No.
Very
Ray,
true.
good luck with beating that on energy. Good luck. I'm waiting for you.
Hi, I'm Ray. No, I'm Ray Roshar. I'm your go-to for setup in California. I do wear a lot of hats, but I think for this audience, if you have any questions about the setup of teaching books in your school or library, or really any of the products that you get through the K-12 online content project, feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be glad to help.
Great. So what we're going to do over this 50 minutes is give you some refreshers of teaching books. We've done a lot of pivoting during the pandemic, and to try to make sure that all of our students can have access to these resources the moment they need. And we want to make sure you can easily do that. We encourage you to follow along by just going to teachingbooks.net and exploring the site while we're talking, so that you're able to learn and then look up what exactly matters to you. Maybe we used an elementary example and you're in secondary, or something like that. So we encourage you to be on teaching books throughout. There is authentication automatically for you in the state, or you can go to teachingbooks.net/login. And if Ray wants to put that link into the chat, or Deb, somebody, that would be fantastic. So let me take you to uh, the site for a second and just introduce it as part of the California K-12 online content project. This is $3 million of resources, as probably all of you know, from the legislature. That's part of Prop 98 general funding. And what it's trying to do is equalize access, so every one of our students in the state has authoritative information: Britannica, ProQuest, and teaching books. This session is about teaching books, getting you up to date on that a little bit. And then, as Mark said, there's a session at 1 o'clock today where we're going to go in depth into optimal setup, our diversity toolkit, our virtual teaching ideas, library programming and book promotion, as well as just answering any and all questions. But this time what we're trying to do is just give you a good sound overview of some strategies, and we can't wait to do that. So I hope that meets your needs. Use the chat. Deb and Ray are on the chat, ready to answer all questions. It sounds like a telethon. They're here to answer anything you need, and we look forward to sharing. But again, this is everything about teaching books is already funded for you. No one's asking you ever for any funds for training, for support, for questions, for alignment, for access, all covered by the California K-12 online content project. Deb, anything before we dig in?
Nope. Roll the tape.
Wonderful. So this is teachingbooks.net. It is a collection of resources about authors and books. This is a place for you to go to enrich whatever books are being read in your school, pre-K through 12. Our dream, and why I started it, was that what would happen if everybody could have a relationship with the author, or use technology to think deeper and differently about the text that's in their hands, or that they're thinking about. Can we get them to understand these books more? And so teaching books is your go-to source that you have in your pocket for you in the library, for your teachers, for your students, for your families, for the people that are choosing reading programs, for your California Young Readers Medal activities, for any time you're using a book. And what you can do is you can scroll down a little bit, and we have these two boxes that we added as a response to COVID, so that you could immediately see and have access to direct starting points. So you could say, let's celebrate Black History Month. Or you can say, I'm looking for read-alongs, and it will just take you directly to some starting points. One area on the educator's side, this area on the far right, I want to highlight is, if you're doing read alouds right now, we want to make sure that you know the permissions. We want to make sure everyone's in a good place with that. And so you can just click on that, and that will take you to the School Library Journal document that they're maintaining from all the publishers about access for you to about what you can do with read-alongs. So this is a way to jump into teaching books. Another way to jump in is with an author or a book. So you could just say, I'm right now thinking about Kadir Nelson. So you can just type in Kadir Nelson, a wonderful California illustrator and author from Los Angeles County. And then suddenly you'd have all the resources about him and his work. So you would have here movies with him in his home showing how he does his work, audio recordings, discussion questions, information about any book. So you could say, let's look at The Undefeated, which is it's the only book to ever simultaneously win the Caldecott Medal and the Coretta Scott King Medal in the same year. This was last year. And then you have recordings, video book trailers. You even have things like how to say his name and the story of his name. So I think Deb likes to start with these, so I'll do that too.
Hi, my name is Kadir Nelson. Don't really know what rhymes with Kadir. Maybe like Belvedere, but Kadir can also be pronounced Kadir. It's a Muslim name. I was born into Islam, and all of my brothers and sisters have Muslim names like Amin, Shadia, Salia, Samira, Jasmine. But I also have a brother named Larry, which is kind of funny, but that's my name.
So we're trying to personalize your relationship to the books that you're thinking about. Have a photo of the author, have them talking about their name, have them introduce the text. So maybe you really love, The Undefeated, and you'd like to have a video book reading with Kwame Alexander, the author, reading it. Then you click there, and then you're suddenly going to have that opportunity with him reading the whole book to you. And so you just click play, and then you have that.
Would you mind giving us a little flavor of the book by reading from it?
I get to read it?
You do? Would
So
you
that's
like
the
him
author,
to read
Y'all
it?
wanna hear it?
Kwame Alexander, and now suddenly you can have him
All right.
have him
I'm gonna
there.
stand up for
That's
this.
great.
And this is when he was living in England. He did this, so it's kind of fun. So it's resources about whatever book and author you're reading. So you can search by title, you can search by author, you can just say, I'm looking for Manana Land, and then you can click that. And last year, if you remember at CSLA, Pam Munoz Ryan was there introducing this text, but now she can be there telling you about why she wrote it for all your students today.
Hello, I'm Pam Munoz Ryan, the author of Manana Land. What inspired Manana Land? My editor Tracy Mack and I had been talking about what my next book might be after Echo, and we had thought that I might do a picture book.
So you get the backstory, and she reads a little bit of it. And so you have all of these connections to whatever book you're interested in. So you can go to Manana Land and you'd get audio performances. And one of the really powerful things that we've been focusing on is to take audio excerpts and make those accessible. Picture your struggling readers, your English language learners, a parent just wanting to hear a little bit about the book that their student is reading. So now you can play a little bit of the audio performance.
Chapter 1. Somewhere in the Americas, many years after Once Upon a Time.
And you also can translate that. So if you have families that only speak a different language, we have 109 different languages to choose from. So let's say someone's in your communities speaks Tagalog at home.
And long before Happily Ever After, a boy climbed the cobbled steps of an arch.
And you can make these as big as you need. So if you're doing this virtually, you can have it really large.
Bridge in the tiny village of Santa Maria.
So the tools have dramatically grown this year to try to break down every barrier of access possible. So again, what you can do is you can search by book or author or subject, and then you get all the different kinds of materials. So Deb, anything you'd like me to show before I show sharing materials?
Nope.
Wow. So
Nick, you did get one comment that your volume might be a little low for people. I know the resources played can be that way, but if you can speak up, that might
absolutely. Thank you. Want to make sure everything's accessible. I can only speak one language though. I apologize. And so what we have here is the ability for you to have the resources about whatever book you're after. You want a video book trailer to introduce it, an audio performance, you want lesson plans. So you've got all these different types of materials to enrich every conversation, every reader's relationship with that book. So I hope that's really clear, so that when you go here to look at the details, you get information about the different texts and what she's thinking about, and information from the author about it. You don't like that one, you close it, and then you can go to a different one. So here's a piece that Pam Munoz-Ryan wrote for us, where she actually gave an activity from her for all of you to imagine. So she came up with an activity for you to write or draw what you imagine as you're thinking about Max, the protagonist of this book. So there's always things for you to do to help share and build relationships with whatever book is being read. So I hope you understand this is a library of instructional materials. Now what I want to do is show you what I think is the most important part of this service, that it's not about us. It's not about just our enjoyment of the book and the author, but it's about the student and the teacher and the family engagement and building this community, this marvelous relationship around the book. So you hit share on anything you want. You can share a resource and just click share. And when you're sharing, it's going to never require any sign in. It's going to be automatic, immediate access, and you can share these materials in so many different ways. I can give a bookmark to everybody and send that home and say, here's resources on Manana Land. So if anyone has a phone, they can scan that QR code right now, and you'll be directly at that resource. You won't need to sign in. You can listen to the audio recording or look up a book guide from Manana Land. It's all set for you automatically. So, and you also have the ability to translate these flyers. So everything on the site, remember, is about how do we make things more accessible. I've got families that speak Arabic at home. I want them to know how to access this. And then you have the flyer to be able to share that way. So sharing is really everything. When you think about the role of the library and collaboration, that's what we're doing. So we can share these materials. We can hit share, that little arrow, and I can send a bookmark, I can email it, I can text it, I can integrate it directly into Google Classroom or Schoology or Canvas or whatever learning management system you're doing, either by taking the URL here and placing that, or just using the tools below. So if you're using Facebook to communicate with your community, please go forth and do that, and just click Facebook and it will give you the resource and start in Facebook, and you can then finish it up with as you need. So sharing is really everything. Another example, Deb, you want me to drive while you give an example of something you think would be useful?
Okay. We've talked, well, they've been talking in the back channel of concrete rows. So could you just do concrete rows?
Of course.
That is Angie Thomas's prequel to The Hate You Give. Is that right? Am I remembering correctly?
That is correct. That is precisely correct.
And there you see it's 2021 title, already on bestseller list. And you see there's already the book trailer. Not that you really need anything to sell this book, but it's also a great hook to say, hello, we just got this in the library.
Want me to play a second of it?
Sure, play second.
One.
When it comes to the streets,
there you go.
There's rules.
And you can make it full screen.
Don't get beat in front of a girl.
There's captions.
If you claim to be a man,
again, for accessibility purposes. And then you can always share it. Remember, this arrow is right here, just what we were talking about. So you want to just share this particular resource. There you have it.
So the question is, can it be uploaded to Instagram? If you can put a link on Instagram, you could do it.
But the key is, don't take the link from the top of the screen, take the link from our sharing bar, because that comes with authentication, right? So if you're giving someone the link that's just in the browser window at the very top, that's not going to allow immediate authentication. When you use the sharing tool, no sign is required and immediate access is provided.
And then if you click back, I just learned this actually the other day. So even I, who use this every single day, every hour of every single day, almost, unless I'm sleeping. I learned when you're on a resource that's away from the homepage, like that book trailer was, that I can either click that link that says Concrete Rose, or I can click the book jacket and I'm back to where I started.
Right. So if you want to go back to the book, you can click either this Concrete Rose right under the title,
Yep.
or just click the book jacket. It will take you right back to all the other resources that we have.
And there's lesson plans already.
Yep.
And because it's brand new, you know, more things will happen.
One thing we added since COVID also to, and maybe we should talk about
Yes.
touchless book browsing. You want to take us through that, Deb?
Sure. So we discovered right away that people were desperate for two things. One, and this started from Beth, bless you, Beth. Beth and I had this big, long conversation about, I don't want the kids to touch the books for 2 seconds and then I have to hoard them till they become germ free. So the team and I talked about it, and we've come up with a new collection called Hands-Free Book Browsing. And that's a collection of all the books that have both a Google preview and an audiobook excerpt. So kids literally can hear a little bit of the book, read a little bit of the book before they decide, oh yeah, I want to ask the library person for this book. So it's a way for them to kind of do the book talking, get the book talking on their own, browse around on their own. They could even go, once they get to here, I'm going to ask Nick just to back up 1 second.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Once you're in that, you want to narrow it down. So you would choose your grade level. So let's
hone in on the
choose
filtering area on the left.
So you can choose, let's just choose pre-K to 2. And then, for example, I want to choose, let's go a genre. We want something with humor because we need it. And then
now we're down to 461 titles. So we've gone from 10,000 to 461. Just so you see, as we're narrowing to meet your needs, we're trying to support every reader and their interests. That's same as you are.
Right. And then, and the same filtering applies to any other collection that you're looking at, or any other list of books. Like if you wanted to make sure the ones that they do hands-free browsing also have a meet the author recording, because you want them to maybe choose from that as well to get the author's perspective. Yes, this is a permanent feature.
So all 89 of these have a audio excerpt, a Google preview, and the author there. So I could go to Click Clack Moo, and then here's the audio excerpt. And by the way, this is funny. This is humor.
It is funny.
So I can then click on the book cover to go back, because that's what Deb was so excited about.
It was.
And then I can click on
It's
Google.
the little things.
Click on Google Preview. So now everybody has a few pages, in this case, 5 pages of the book that they can actually simultaneously, unlimited use, examine.
And this works really good with your upper grade kids, your upper elementary, your middle, and your high school, because there generally are several chapters. Sometimes in the picture books, it'll just be a smattering of things and you don't get to see too many inside spreads. But for your kids who are using the hands-free browsing for their own use, that's going to be huge for them.
And here's the author. So yeah, go ahead, Deb. I'm sorry.
There also was kind of a question of how do I personalize that? So what you might do once you've narrowed it down, you've done your hands-free browsing or whatever collection you're looking through, once you create your filters, then you would want to then create your own list.
Let me just get to that. Hang on, let me show them. So now I'm just going to do high school. I'm just going to pick something different. I'm thinking about our South Asian community. So now I've got these 42 titles, and I want discussion questions because this is going to be for book club. I'm making something up, but there's 23 titles now. So we just narrowed down from 10,000 to 23 based on the criteria of having lesson plans for high school, South Asian cultural experience, and also hands-free with a Google Preview and read-along performances. So now you have your titles. Go ahead, Deb.
So now what you want to do is add multiple titles to a list.
So do you see here, what you can do is you can align our library to any set of books that you're interested in and have all the resources in one place. So we're going to do that for you now. So I should click this, Deb?
Yes, click that.
Okay.
And then for today's purposes, just select all the titles and it'll click them all. And then if you wanted to, you could unclick some of those boxes. Sometimes it's faster to click them all and then unclick a time or two, a title or two, and then add
But
your
I like
selected.
them all. Wait, I like them all.
Well, but we don't, our budgets aren't endless.
Okay.
And so perhaps this is a list of titles that you know for sure that you have. So we've got our list. And then once you have your list, you can do actually some pretty amazing things at that point, some of which we're going to talk about in our session at 1 o'clock. So let me just do a commercial right here. At 1 o'clock, we're going to dive a little deeper, especially for those of you who've been using TeachingBooks for a while, and look at things like the diversity toolkit collection analysis, which is where you can go once you have the basics down for searching, list making, and sharing.
That's our ad slide as well. Just jumping into that ad moment.
Correct.
This moment was brought to you by our 1 o'clock session. I'm going to go back to this.
Absolutely. Okay, so now I have my list, and if I were the librarian, one of the things that I might do with this list is I might download this as a spreadsheet. At that point, I can pass it off to my student helpers or whoever or even myself if it's just me. And then I can go through my library catalog and mark the titles that I want to. Did you download it as a spreadsheet?
I just showed it what's in the spreadsheet.
The
Title and the
so if you
ISBN.
download it as a spreadsheet, it'll have columns. So it'll be easy for you to create a box that I have it or I don't have it. And then
and if I can just show what's in it for a second, Deb, just to summarize what's in a list. So in a list are all the resources for whatever books you picked. So picture a reading program or a book club or a syllabus or a reading program that your school has adopted, or any set of titles that you're purchasing. You're just getting a new set of books for whatever reason. And you want to then give these resources to everybody. You want to make sure that they're aligned to what you have. So for these 20 titles that we picked, we have now over 200, almost 300 resources, 50 lesson plans, 27 book readings ready to go. So I can just scroll through that and you see them. I can click on any title, Kite Runner, for example, and you'd have, remember, this also had all the tools for the browsing. So you have the audio excerpt, the Google book preview, and much more as well. Vocabulary list, I'm sure, and book trailers and all these other materials. So you have all of these materials. You can do what Deb said, which is under share here. There's all these other tools for Excel with ISBNs, or you can hand it out to your students. You also can hit share. And you can just go back to what we talked about before. Let's give everybody a bookmark for this and send that home to all the students that are working on this exploration. And then they have all of those titles like that.
We have a question and I need clarification, Melissa. How do we find out if a particular book is available to read in TeachingBooks? Can we filter for that? So the answer is
search for the title.
Is a shortened answer. One is just to remember that TeachingBooks does not replace your library. It's a supplement to your library. It's a partner with your library. It is not an ebook platform. That being said, we do have complete book readings that are available, and there is a complete book readings collection. So if Nick were just to type complete book readings, even if as you start to type complete, it's going to pop up in the featured on the right-hand side, and you can go from there and use your resource, use your filters on the left-hand side to narrow down to the grade levels you want. For example, in high school and grades 7 to 12, there are Shakespeare. You get an audiobook recording with the text. It can be downloaded so they don't use bandwidth to access the listening piece of it. For elementary, you'll find lots and lots of picture books, but I'm encouraging people, especially as we continue to be distance learning, to use the complete picture book recordings in middle and high school. They're great for scaffolding. They're great for mentor text. They're great for so many things that my mind just went blank on. But
All the reasons we love our books.
yeah.
Right. So here you can go to this, and then you can have some fabulous poems read. So now I can have this fabulous poem read about, actually, I love voice. So I'm going to go to that one. Let me play that for just a minute or a few seconds.
I like to shout loud, proud, strong words. I like to whisper tender, remember me words. Words have power. Words can split a city with the speed of an earthquake. Words can rain down, bringing spring blooms to a barren desert. Words have power. Like a supermoon, words can illuminate.
So this is from the fabulous book, The Dictionary for a Better World, and it's the co-author Charles Waters reciting it for you, and that's a complete poem from the book. So it might be the full book, or it might be a full chapter or a section in its entirety, though, read, not just a selected excerpt to get you into the text, but it's a complete beginning to end of a section that the author's created, a poem or a chapter or the full book. And all of those, just another way to get to those complete book readings, going back to the home page. Remember the home page, just click the logo and go home. You know, that beautiful image that Brian Collier gave us. Then you scroll just a little bit down and you have these boxes. And one of the options here is enjoy 1,500 complete book readings, and boom, you'll take you right there as well. So we're featuring certain things here. You're thinking about Black History Month. You click that and it will take you to our African American collection. Then you use the filters that Deb just walked you through, right? And say, I'm thinking about the filters, and I actually only want, I don't know my books very well. I just want ones that won awards. I need the support of other authority. Totally appropriate. We can't keep track of all that. And so then I'm also thinking about humor or graphic novels. And now my kids are interested in graphic novels. I have these 27 graphic novels that are part of the African American collection that have won awards. And then I can filter by my grade level and say I'm just interested in, you know, early elementary. And then you get Sparrow Boy. And then now you have those resources that take you right to that title. So again,
Ray brought up
homepage helps you back.
browsing, Nick. Shall we show them the browse feature?
It's a wonderful suggestion. Thank you, Ray. So back to the homepage, there's some functions here that we want to highlight a little bit. One of them is browse, and then we should probably go into these others also so they have a sense of that. Browse, this is all new since COVID. The section up here of the students and educators. And browsing keeps expanding. We don't know what you're looking for. Do you want books, authors? Did you want book lists? Maybe you want interested in series. Is series a plural word already, Deb? I don't know. Awards and distinctions. So I don't know what you were after, but let's say I just wanted to explore all books, or I can explore all collections. I can get really specific. And I'm just thinking right now about vocabulary lists. What books have vocabulary lists on TeachingBooks? Your teachers are working on comprehension over and over again. How do we do that on TeachingBooks? So you can go here under resource type and scroll down. It's alphabetized by vocabulary. So you can just explore and see. And then you click on vocabulary lists, and you're going to be at the collection of all titles that have vocabulary lists.
And new titles are added every week. And if you want to see the newest resources, you can actually start on the homepage and scroll down to the bottom where thousands of resources are added every month. But if you follow us on Pinterest, as I find out from the content department that the Meet the Author recordings or the blog posts or the vocabulary, the interviews that happen, you'll find those on our Pinterest board. So if you're on Pinterest, Be sure you're following us,
Let
and you'll
me
see
show you
all
how to
of
do what
those.
Deb just said. So you're on the home page. You can scroll to the very bottom, and I just jumped to the
Oh, you
bottom so you
did
don't
that
get
fast.
dizzy.
Yay.
And so then you just go up a teeny bit and it says new resources added daily. And we show you what's been added in the past 30 days, or if you just want to see this current year titles. So you want to see how current this is for you. You click that, it takes you directly to all of the 2021 collection. So again, just for anyone that's come in recently, I want to remind you to freely log into TeachingBooks in another window and just browse for what matters to you. The way to get to TeachingBooks is just type in teachingbooks.net, or if and once you're there, you could even sign in if you use Clever or ClassLink and sign in directly through that. Or you can just enter your work email address and you can get in that way. Or you can just use it because we've authenticated over the entire state with what's called geolocation fencing. So all IP addresses in our state automatically will put somebody in. So all of our kids can always get in from home or wherever they are, on their phones, in school or away. So just want to make sure that was clear and remind you, we encourage you to be browsing and for what matters to you as you hear something. If you want to take the time to try it and then ask us, Teb, Ray, and I, 1/5 of our organization are with you right now to help you. But this is our 21 collection. Again, the way we got to that, you can always type in new books and maybe it shows you that. No, I guess we don't have that one built, but it's a good one to add. But you then have these components, and again, go to the bottom of the screen when you're on the home page, and it will always take you to the section to see what was recently added. While we're at the footer, let me just show, this is a great place to summarize a lot of what we're showing you. We repeat points of access everywhere we can. You want our phone number, you want to email us, you want our contact box, you want to all the Meet the Author recordings or the author name pronunciations. Of course you want the author name pronunciations. They're fun. And we've recorded, geez, 2,925 of them.
Getting there.
We're getting there. Number 2,000 we announced as Tommy DePaula. We'll have to hold someone back to be our 3,000th as really fun, a fun name.
And we have two brand new things.
Please.
One is now, you know, I'm getting to a place where sometimes I remember the book, but I forget the details. So one of the things that just been added is there are now book descriptions. So if you you can actually browse the books, the book description collection, and you'll see it coming right there. And these are all the books that have book descriptions. So more often than not, you will see titles, and you won't have to remember what they're about, or you won't have to go digging into Google to figure out, oh, what's that book? What's that book about? Will this work? I don't know if this will work or not. So that information will be right at the top, and you can read that information for yourself.
Let's pick an elementary school book. We haven't done an elementary example. Any of these you want me to pick, Deb?
You already did the Undefeated, so let's do Talking About Bessie.
Great. What's that book about? Well, do you see here, there's a description right under the title, and then it says read more. We don't call it a description. We just begin to tease you with a little bit about it. You click read more, and then you're going to have an annotation and a description of that particular text with some details on it. So these are really, really wonderful to have. And so for all of the books there now, we've expanded what we had. We've always had some, but now we have many, many more, so that when you click on a title, and there's more actually being added as we speak. I'm literally running a matching system right now to keep growing them, but those are all there for you right now. The book descriptions, if you want to share that with your teacher, guess what you do? You just hit share. Remember share? I think I'm trying to help you understand that you can share and give this to everybody. That's the most powerful thing I think we can offer you, is that as you're building collaborations around books and reading, you can give resources to anybody. So that's one of the new things we added. What else, Deb?
We also, what if I'm on Google and I'm not even thinking about TeachingBooks? I'm just thinking about, I'm just thinking about Black history. I'm just thinking about frogs because I've got to do research.
So you type in frogs, and then we added a Chrome extension. So let me show you what happened there. I did a search on frogs on Google, and for any topic, you're going to be given suggested titles from TeachingBooks with more information about it, the grade level, the genre, cultural area, and you can always go directly to the resource. It automatically will take you right to TeachingBooks for that. And I'm actually signed in a funny place, so disregard how I'm signed in. I was doing testing on it a few minutes ago and forgot to switch over, but it's the same tool. And then it would take you right to the title, the author, the recordings, all of that. So you can type in anything. You can just say, I'm studying adventure. I'm looking for adventure books, and type that into your tool, and then it will bring up for you suggested titles. So the way you get to that, and maybe if you want to put the link into our chat box, maybe all of you right now just go
Done.
install it. Go install it. You go to teachingbooks.net/Chrome extension, and you can go and it will describe it to you, but there's a link to take you to what's called the Google App Store. And right then and there, it will tell you you can install it. Right where it says remove from Chrome, it will just say install for you. And within a second, all of you could have this done in literally a second. And then every time you do a Google search, you'll be given authoritative resources. So you can just say, I'm right now looking up an author. This morning, I was thinking about Kevin Henkes. So now you're going to get Kevin Henkes materials, but now suddenly you're at the movie of Kitten's First Full Moon. It's not just suggesting a book with authority, but it's giving you the chance to have Kevin Henkes here right now for you to have a movie of him showing how he illustrated and created Kitten's First Full Moon. So suddenly we can play that, and then you'd have him showing you how that book was actually created, right?
Could
So,
I?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Could I share my screen and show them one of my favorite things as a librarian?
Of course. Let me stop sharing.
Let me move all that out of the way. All right, so one of my favorite things, and this is the time when Nick literally made me cry.
Positively, I hope.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just
So
making sure. I don't want people
you
to
see,
feel
I have
about our culture.
boys and girls. You see what I have in my hand? I have my barcode scanner, and you see my screen. I'm in the search box, and you see I have a book. Now watch what happens when I scan the ISBN in the book. Ta-da! All you have to do is scan your ISBN, beep, 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 and then suppose you're making a list. So we go add to a list. I'm going to make a new list, and this is, let's call it new books. Oh, but don't do that because you have to press enter. You can't, you have to scroll to the bottom. New books. So one way you might create your list is as you get new books, you scan them with your scanner.
Don't point that at me. I'm scared.
Into a list of teaching books. And now I'm going to edit it. And then all I have to do at this point is after I start my list is just grab another book. Beep, it'll pull up the book. I hit enter and now I have a list. So just like that, boom, 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 I've created a list. So you could take your scanner on a laptop, go around the room, create a list. Or if you are, you've already made your list, you can beep, 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 make a list, create one of those QR code resources, and now they have the resources for the books that you just did. Or somebody asked, is there an app? So there's not an app, but you can, let me connect really quickly.
Can you show on your screen also on the page that describes what you're about to show? Just search for phone.
Oh. Too late. I missed it. I understood what
okay.
I didn't catch what
Just
you.
go back.
So
Just let me
now
share.
I'm
Okay, you got it. You got it. You're good.
Yeah. So now I'm going to do that. So now I'm sharing, and now you see my phone. And now you see this TeachingBooks. This is not an app, but all I did was once I was in TeachingBooks, I used my icon down at the bottom. So I press that, and now I have some options. So if I click add it to my home screen and save it, now it's in my home screen. Now it's on my iPad, it's on my iPhone, and when I click right there, I have the same opportunity, except now it's going to use my camera. And I say allow, and now I'm using my phone that's in my pocket. I cried about this too. And it's going to ask me to sign in if I go to use something, but because it's my phone, it's phone.
But in California, it won't, because you're already going to be signed in. You're automatically
You'll be signed in and you have
California.
instant access. So now you can also use your phone or your iPad to scan the ISBNs and make a list or bring up a resource. You're book talking in the stacks one day and a kid says, what's that book about? And you just scan the ISBN and say, it's about this. Here's the author. Boom,
So Deb,
just like that.
Can I control the screen again for a sec?
Yep.
I just want to show them all this on the site as a reminder and where to go. So that's so cool how you brought your phone up, and that was marvelous. And we're doing all these things for one reason, and that's so everybody can easily get to and enrich whatever their relationship is with the book, right? So what we want to do is make it really easy for you. So we have a whole section on using what's called web apps for phones and tablets. And it's going to show you what Deb just showed you. And so what you do is you can go to TeachingBooks on your phone. And once you're there, if there are directions here for Apple and Android, and then you're going to have this little button put on there. And then once you're there, anytime you hit the search, and on a phone, it's just seeing the magnifying glass. On a tablet, you'll see this little scanning device, and you can scan from a computer as well. It's trickier because of the hand. It's just harder to do, but you can. But from a phone, it's super easy because the phone is so used to doing that scanning. But we wanted to make sure it worked on tablets and Chromebooks as well, because that's what a lot of kids have. That's what you're assigning them. So if you want them to have the resources of the book right in front of them, they can, and you can embed this right there. So
we have about 5 minutes left.
I need to cover one last thing, Deb, which is setup. And is that okay?
Absolutely. I just want to make sure we save time to do that.
I was just about to go into that. So it's really, really important before we get to any questions now. And again, we have a session at 1 o'clock. And here's your ad for what we're covering then. We're going to go through in detail our diversity toolkit and library programming and book promotion, all the things you see on your screen. But what I wanted you to make sure you do is that you ensure that this is set up where your kids look for online resources. So if you're using Clever or ClassLink, or you're using Destiny, or you're using Mac and Via, or you're using Canvas and Schoology, or you're using Google Classroom, well, that you can't really embed it into, but it will work beautifully for. We want you to be able to tie these all together. And so TeachingBooks works in all these different types of spaces. If you're using Opals, I know a number of California schools use Opals as their library catalog. You're using Symbaloo. So we're trying to lay that all out for you, and we've done our best of trying to help you see that you can tie these all in, and all you do is you ask, you go to this spot, and I'll show you the link again, but we can always help you, but we want to make sure that you're set up optimally, immediately. If you're trying to set up the California resources, we've built one special set of code that can make your life a lot easier. So if you have a website on your library that you control, and you just want to have it list all the California resources. So Britannica, like TeachingBooks, is geolocation authenticated right now. And so you can just literally just copy a bit of code here. It's all set for you. and it will start where it says California K-12 digital resources and go all the way down, giving you all the buttons and all the descriptions and all the support phone numbers for each of the providers. And then these $3 million of resources are sitting where your kids work. And so it's just really important. It's great that we have these, but having them is not the same as making them accessible. And it takes all of us to keep sharing every one of these ideas. This page came from a library director who said, "Can you help me make this easier, please?" I was like, brilliant idea. Thank you, Amy. And then we built this, and everything comes from each other. And so if you have suggestions for how we can help and integrate these resources into what you're doing, please ask. But the key I wanted to make sure you do is go look, and if you have any questions, then you reach out to us at me or Deb or my colleague Ray, and we will help you get all of this set up. And I guess the last thing I should probably say, Deb, is if you don't see it, let us know and we'll help you. It could be that you haven't filled out even the setup form at your district, because there's still a handful, there's still about 8% of all students in this state that have not set up their resources at all. And we don't know how to reach you, but the only way we know is if you look and you don't see it, then tell us and we'll help you. Again, these resources are for everybody in this state. So we've still got a few minutes if anyone has questions. Deb, anything that you need to have, but I felt we needed to cover setup just a little bit before we
Yeah, absolutely.
leave
We do.
everybody here.
Because that's so important. Some people are asking about saving the chat because there are all kinds of things in the chat. You should see to the right hand side, there's 3 little dots. If you click on that, there is a place where you can save it. Regina had a question about private schools. TeachingBooks has granted access to anyone and everyone in California. So public schools, private schools, home schools, libraries, colleges, universities, everybody.
Yep, and we just go here. This is the California setup form, and we can put this link in there, and you can go to private school and then begin to type in your name, and you'll find it. We just want to make sure that, you know, whatever, I just typed in the word Saint, figuring there was a school named Saint, and there's a lot of them. And then you can pick which one you are, and then it'll be all, you can just fill it out and we'll help you get set up. I would suggest before people leave, so that they can save the chat, is if you want to write one thing you learned that you're excited to try out, or a question you have that you'd like us to do, then the collection of our chat from all of us here will give us other strategies and ideas. And so if everyone just writes to type in one thing that they learned or are thinking about that they could make a difference for them, put it in there, and then we will all have that, because Deb just reminds you, you can just hit the 3 little buttons and save the chat once we're all done. It's blowing up. Deb loves to blow up the chat. She taught me this strategy.
I do love chat blow up.
And so let us know how we can help. We're here for you. Again, at 1 o'clock, we're going to be going into depth to make you really, you'll be able to work on one monitor, and we'll take you through Diverse Books Toolkit, building lists, collection analysis, book promotion, and so forth.
Oh yeah. Did you know that you can upload portions of your collection and check it for diversity? Only a teaching book. So
at
join
1
us at
o'clock
1 o'clock.
today.
And we'll do this one more time just to make sure you get it.
You won't cry, I hope.
I won't. I'm not over it, but I'm still tremendously happy. Okay. It's a big help.
Well, we hope all your questions were answered. I'm sure Ray has been typing nonstop, knowing that. Ray, is there anything else that came up that you want to bring up as before we end this session?
List building came up a lot, and it sounds like we've got that covered at 1 p.m. So I'm going to leave it at that. I did put a link into the chat, but here to help with anyone who needs help with setup, and you two did fantastic. Thank you.
Well, we love being a part of CSLA, and we thank you for the opportunity to try to enrich reading for all of our kids at the moment they're reading it. And that's my final remark. Deb, you get the last word, and then we'll end the recording.
As always, we thank you for what you do. And it is like Nick said and Ray said, it's always our pleasure to be part of CSLA and encourage you and support you however we can. You know how to reach us, so do.
See you later.
all three of you for your time today. This is such an awesome resource, and I don't use that word lightly. This is really fantastic.
And
So-
Mark, for you, you're always so busy running around the exhibit hall, you actually don't get to go to sessions. So welcome,
No.
and we're honored to have you with us.
Yes, this has been great. And thank you, all of the attendees, and we'll see you back at the deep dive sessions at 1 p.m.
And before you end the room, if anyone wants to save the chat, go do that now. Before, once Mark closes it, it gets harder to get. And so you just do the 3 little dots in the chat area, and then one of the options is save chat, and then you'll have it. So that will be good. Thank you, Mark.
And thank you.
Thanks, everyone.